Many believe that working as a delivery personnel is a simple task, but its intricacies surpass common perception. However, Harry consistently gave his utmost effort to excel in this role. Lacking a car, he relied on his trusty scooter to efficiently dispatch orders from a food delivery application, and for the most part, his experience was highly satisfactory. Riding a few distances was not that hard, but things always got a little dissier when he had to cross the highway, mainly because it was snowing every once in a while. This season, people always seemed to become more restless and scarier on the big road, so Harry had to be extra careful because he was on a scooter. That day, he was trying to get off the highway as quickly as possible when he saw an older man trying to cross the road. He was frail and looked cold in his unkempt jacket. The honks of cars echoed as they passed him, and the man flinched as they did. If that kept going, someone would run over the man, and Harry wanted to prevent that mishap, so he stopped his scooter in front of him. "Sir, let me help you cross," he offered, grabbing the man's elbow to guide him. Harry put his other hand out and started leading the older man through it. The drivers were unhappy about stopping in the middle of the road, but they stopped because Harry kept his hand raised and gave the drivers a scary look. Luckily, they reached the other side after a few minutes, and the old beggar smiled brightly at him. "Thank you so much, young man. I can't believe I finally crossed. It always takes a long time. My house is this way, but I walked through town on the other side," the old man explained, and Harry nodded. "You're welcome, sir. But please try to find another way to get home. It's super dangerous to cross the highway. It's like drivers go a little crazy, and this time of year is even worse. Be careful out there," Harry said, and straightened his scooter to get back on it. "Wait, young man, can you tell me your address so I can send a thank you gift?" the older man said, reaching for Harry. "Please, I couldn't live with myself if I didn't repay this kind gesture," he insisted, and Harry nodded, rattling off his address. He lived in a nice neighborhood because he had inherited the house from his parents, who passed several years ago. His 3 children loved their new home, but they all missed their grandparents terribly. Sadly, tragedy struck their family shortly afterward because the pandemic cost him his job, and now food delivery was his entire livelihood. Some days he had to work 18 hours to keep his family afloat. He was his children's only parent because his wife had abandoned them long ago, and Harry was determined to build a promising future for them, even if he didn't have a car to make those deliveries properly. He was saving for that. Still, he didn't expect anything from this poor older man. "Thank you again." The senior beggar waved as Harry rolled away to continue working. However, he almost crashed his scooter the following day when he got home from working on his last order. A brand new car was in the open garage, and his kids were jumping excitedly on the lawn. Normally, he didn't allow them outside, but his eldest, Lucy, was smiling too. "Guys, what's going on?" he said wide-eyed, throwing his scooter on the grass. "Dad, it's a gift," Lucy said and pointed towards the man Harry had not noticed. "Sir, what are you doing here? Is that your car? How? What? Why?" Harry stumbled through questions as he approached the old beggar he had helped cross the road. He didn't understand what was happening. Why was he walking around risking his life if the man had a car? Most importantly, why was the car in his garage? "I told you that I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I didn't repay the gesture," the man responded, smiling. "My name is Reginald, and this car, I bought it many years ago for my grandson." Harry was confused, but the older man continued. "My wife and I only had one son during our marriage, and she left me when my company went bankrupt. She took my kid, of course, but I tried my best. Still, it was not enough. My son got used to his stepfather's money, and I couldn't compete with that anymore." "That's terrible," Lucy said, holding her siblings close as Harry listened intently. "Yes, it is, young lady. My son called every once in a while, but we were never close. A few years ago, my grandson was turning 18, and I had met him a few times. I wanted to do something for him, so I got this car." Reginald pointed at it. He hated it. "My grandson, much like his father, likes shiny and new." "I didn't know that." He said that his real grandfather, his step-grandfather, had already gotten him a brand new SUV. Reginald swallowed. "So, I had to take this one home, and I couldn't drive it much. It hurt too much. But I kept it in great shape, and I think it's time someone had it." I could tell from your work uniform that you deliver food and thought that you could really use the vehicle. I can't accept this extravagant gift from a stranger, sir. It wouldn't be right. Harry shook his head, although he was so grateful that someone thought about him at all. Please do. I won't use it, and it's just sitting there doing nothing. I want someone who deserves it to have it. A man who would stop in the middle of the road to help an old beggar with nothing deserves something like this. The older man insisted. Sir, you could sell this car and live a better life, Harry said, lowering his voice and stepping close to Reginald so his kids wouldn't hear him. The old man shook his head. I don't care about money. I beg for it now because I need to eat, but I never accept much. I don't need much. My house is paid for because I bought it years ago, and it's enough for me, although it has its problems now. I saved all I could when my body was able to get this car, only for it to get rejected. The greediness in my sons and grandsons' eyes killed something in me, so I don't want to sell it. I want my effort to have real meaning. Please, accept it. The earnestness in the man's face couldn't be denied. Harry swallowed thickly at the moisture gathering in Reginald's eyes and finally nodded. Thank you, he said quietly and hugged the old beggar. How about some dinner? Lucy offered, brightening the mood. Harry repeated the offer to the older man, who tried to refuse, but they insisted this time. The following day, Harry used a Cadillac for deliveries, returning home early to cherish time with his kids. He welcomed Reginald for Friday dinners, integrating him as family, transcending material worth. Regrettably, the elderly man passed away months later. Only Harry and his children attended his funeral, forever treasuring his memory.